Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's See What Stupid Thing Thomas Does Next. Today's highlight reel includes Thomas procrastinating what he should be doing, porting his game to consoles, and instead making some quick progress towards his next game. Okay, yeah, I know what you're thinking, but it's okay. I already asked my boss if this was fine. Now I promise I'll get back to console porting in a minute, but I just had to take a quick detour to add some soldiers into my game, right? I mean, we have this elaborate procedural generation system for creating diverse island layouts, and no one is able to enjoy them. Well, except for the sheep. But today all that changes, so let's add some soldiers to the game. And here is my new soldier. Ready to fight? So we want to get to the point where soldier units can run around this map, and I want to be able to select a destination, send troops over to that location, and then have opposing forces initiate combat with each other. But to do that, first we need to enlist some troops. Let's get some sick looking warriors imported into the game. Perfect. Okay, now in order for me to get this guy moving across the map, we need to utilize Unity's nav mesh tools. And lucky for me, I already implemented some scripts that take these individual blocks and generate a nav mesh for me at runtime. And it's already tied into the level generator flow. See, look, it's right here. And this is already in the project because the base of this level generation code came from my previous game. You see, instead of making a simple tanks game like I was supposed to do, I instead turned it into a procedurally generated exploration game with base building where you drag resources back to your base while fighting hordes of other tanks. Whoops. I realized that was a big oopsie. So I decided to change my game again and scrap all of that procedural generation code. And I made a video about that right here. And that's when Thomas learned his lesson about scope creep. You see, I learned to never ever majorly change or start a new project until my current project gets finished. Unless it's, this week when I want to do something cooler than, console porting. Anyway, we can build a nav mesh on our islands just like this, and bingo bango. Now we can just make a simple humanoid script that takes a random location on the island and sets the destination on the nav mesh agent. And that was actually pretty easy. Okay, but now we need to replace this cylinder with something a bit more attractive. I don't want to waste time in Blender right now, so I'm going to utilize some 3D models from the Unity Asset Store. And this one looks really good. Yoink. So now let's test it out. Yeah, this looks pretty good for now. And let's just see what this looks like with a bunch of people added in here. Yeah, that's awesome. Like ants on an anthill. Okay, let's do a couple of things real quick to make this feel a bit more polished. First, we need to add some animation to make these units feel more alive. So let's grab an animator, make an idle and a running animation state. And luckily we have some animations that came with these models packaged in, so I'll connect those up and then add an animation trigger in our script so that the models will run whenever they have a target destination that they're moving to. And that looks pretty good. Okay, the next thing we need to do to polish this up is to fix how the units are moving vertically. Right now they just automatically snap to a higher or lower block, and that looks just about as good as my high school senior photos. So instead, let's write some logic that will test the adjacent blocks in between the unit and the target position, and if it's a different height, we're going to pause the navigation agent and we're going to lerp the unit's height so that it does this little bounce before getting set to the block's position. And then we just resume the navigation after that. And yeah, this is working exactly how I wanted it to look. Here, wait, let me, okay, now let's try it. Yeah, this is perfect. This is, gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so it turns out all I had to do was give my laptop a saltwater bath and everything started working. So now whenever a unit approaches a cliff, he does this cute little hop and it feels much more natural watching them run around the map. I can already envision this game taking shape into something that will be very fun. I'm picturing groups of these soldiers fighting to defend bridges, or archers taking the high ground to provide support for their fellow swordsmen. But before we can do any of that combat stuff, there's still one thing I need to add to the game, and it's the ability to allow the player to direct the units themselves. Instead of choosing a random destination on the island to move to, let's allow the player to set a beacon that will communicate to the units where to go. So first, let's create a very simple visual. Just add a cylinder and attach a script that will redirect the units. Now whenever we click the mouse, the code will find the closest block tile and spawn the beacon onto it. Okay, so I'm reading through my notes right now, and I just read the word beacon as bacon, and now I'm really hungry. And honestly, maybe bacon would be better for drawing people in. Anyway, so we can spawn the beacon, and now the units will go to where that object is. And we can click around now and make new navigation points at any spot on the island. In the future, I'll need to separate which units we select to control, because right now it just tells everybody to go to this one spot, but this is a really good foundation for the gameplay that I want to implement going forward. And it all just kind of works, which is a miracle to me. I can generate a big island and place a beacon a long ways away, and my boy here will get the job done. He knows where to go, and he's happy to fulfill his duty and get there in no time flat. Now this game has new soldiers with animations, and they can run and jump and be directed to any part of the island. Let me know if you guys have any good ideas moving forward with this game. I have my own vision for what I want the game to look like, but one of the main reasons that I want to build this in public is so that I can get your feedback as I'm working on it and make a better game than I'd be able to by myself. Thanks for sticking around. If you liked this video, consider hitting the thumbs up button, and I will see you all real soon in the next one.